Okay, so what we're going to be looking at today is Hydrangea Hill. So if you have a look in your catalogue, it's on page 18 and 19. It is a beautiful suite. I'm really loving this. There's not much in this catalogue that I'm not loving. Just let me move that out of the road. Don't need that now. So there's a beautiful range of papers in this suite. So what you have is the lovely Hydrangea Hill Designer Series paper, which we're going to be using this one here today. Got to make sure I'm actually in screen for you. And it has that one on the back. Just let me quickly go through these for you, show you. These are just beautiful. I've already looked at that one. Got a stripe and a floral on that side. There's the stripe that goes with it. You're getting rain where you are. We're getting a lot of rain here. Now this one here is a big sheet. You've got a border on either side and just a plain blue motley piece in the middle. And you can cut that up into, let me move this across a little bit. I'm starting to head off screen. Cut that up into card size fronts. And it makes beautiful, just a beautiful card front. And then the back of that one is that floral there as well. So along with those beautiful designer series papers, and I'm just going to take one of these out because I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to use that one today. So let me just pop those to one side. They also have these lovely acetate sheets. Okay, and these come in the colours of, they're called Mercury Glass Designer Acetate. And they come in Highland Heather and Rococo Rose. So there's your beautiful Rococo Rose. I'll just put a bit of white underneath it so you can see. And on the other side, it's actually silver. And then there's your Highland Heather. And just silver on the back of these. Now, there is a plastic coating on here. So, and it's on this silver side. Now, I don't have any sticky tape here with me at the moment. I did see the other day someone showed how if you put a bit of sticky tape on the back of this, you can actually peel this acetate off, the plastic off the there it comes, off the acetate. So you've just got a little sheet of plastic there that you just need to remove before you use the acetate sheets. So I'm just going to pop them to one side because we're not going to be using those today. Okay then, so let's just move those out of the road as well. What else comes in that suite? Well, of course, you've got one of some of the most important parts, which is your stamp set. So you have this beautiful stamp set, and we're going to be using a portion of this particular stamp here today, and one of the sentiments. And it also comes with the dies. Okay, so your dies will cut out this flower here. Then you've got a beautiful piece which we're going to use. It cuts out some smaller flowers. What else is in here? So what we're going to be using today is this piece here, and I'll show you that when we're working with it. We're also going to be using these leaves. Can you see that? And we're going to use that little tag. I'm glad to see there's a little tag in there. Love little tags. We haven't had a little tag for a while. Well, I haven't. Then we've got some other pieces here that cut out. So as I said, this piece here cuts out that one there. You've got some leaves which will cut out those leaves. This piece here and that piece will cut out these flower pieces just there. You've got another tag here, and then you've got a row of just if you want lots of little hydrangea flowers, there's lots of little flower pieces there you can cut out and use. Today's really my first play with this suite, so I've been having a bit of fun with it this morning. So they're the dies that we're going to be using, so I'm going to just pop those out of the road for the moment as well. It also comes in this suite with this beautiful ribbon. Okay. So if you have a look in your catalogue, down here you've got one order number, which is 155985. That's the number for here in Australia. And you can buy this whole suite with everything, including these lovely pearls, okay, pastel pearls, for that whole suite for $154.25. Okay, now remember, if you don't want to buy the whole suite, you can buy the bits and pieces individually, but if you buy your stamp set and your dies together, you get a 10% discount on those. Okay, so remember, if you buy the stamp set and the dies, it's a bundle, you get your 10%. Now that's already included in this Hydrangea Hill. Okay, so let's just pop some of these bits and pieces out of the road. And I'll remove the catalogue. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make a card. So what I've got is some Highland Heather card base. Whoops, as I said, I'm not in my usual room, so everything's sort of all over the place a little bit at the moment. So we're going to use that Highland Heather card base, and we're going to use some designer series paper just to cover our, I'll put that aside, so let me just grab the one I do need. Thought I'd pulled it out, but maybe I didn't. Okay, that's the piece I want. So this piece here of our cardstock, Highland Heather, I've actually cut this at, it's a full length of A4, and I've cut it in half at 10.5. Okay, so it's 29.8 by 10.5, and I've scored it at 14.9. So we're just going to fold that in half and get my bone folder. Let's bring this up on screen for you a bit more, sorry. And we're going to crease that down there. Okay. Then on the front of this, now this piece, the designer series paper, I have cut that at 10 centimeters by 14.4 centimeters. Okay, so we're just going to adhere that onto the front. You all are being fairly quiet. Oh, hello. Hi, Marlene. You having a nice day? Got those grandkids with you today? It's been wet here in the Southern Highlands. My cat keeps meowing. He wants to come in. But I'm leaving him outside because he can leave us little deposits if we're not careful, because he's getting very, very old. So he's probably not happy with me at the moment. But I'd rather him there than sitting next to me. He's got a very, very loud meow, and he really can be a bit annoying. Okay, so there's our card base done. And we will put a piece of cardstock in the centre there later on. So we're going to pop that to one side and just let that dry. I'm going to pop that over there, and now we're going to do some stamping. So, or some colouring to start with. So we need a piece here which is going to be, now I've pre-cut all of these. This piece here I've cut at, this Whisper White, I've cut at 7 centimeters by 13 centimeters, and we're going to colour this. So I'm going to use my blends. I spoke about my blends the other week. They do stain up. These I need to wash. You can clean them down quite easily. These are the new ones that Stampin' Up have just brought out in the new catalogue. You can keep them as one, you know, sort of like one's for blues, one for purples, one for greens, one for yellows, if you wanted to do that. I find I just clean them off after I've used them, and they clean off quite quickly and easily. I don't soak them or anything like that. I just get a piece of damp paper towel and just rub them until the dye comes off. You can just rub it on your paper and then change from a light colour to a dark colour, as I'm going to do here today. So I'm going to start off with the Highland Heather, and then we're going to put a little bit of, we're going to go into Seaside Spray, and then I'll be using a little bit of Gorgeous Grape in a moment. So we're going to start off with our Highland Heather with these brushes, and we're going to just colour our white, our basic white cardstock. So when I use these brushes, what I do is I hold them at the top with my 2 fingers, my thumb and 1 finger, holding the base. I find that's what gives me control. There's lots of flexibility in these here, so if you hold down the bottom, you're just going to be sort of having to put a lot of pressure and a lot of pressure on here. So I find if you hold them at the top and then with your 2 fingers on there, that gives you good control on your brush. So I'm going to just take this, my pad, and just rub it in a circular motion, and I've just realised I've gone the wrong one. I'll just clean that off. I want the purple brush. So again, I'm just going to do that in a circular motion. Hi Robin, how are you? From South Australia. Thanks for joining me today. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off our paper and we're going to work on, because if I go straight on, I'm going to leave a big blob of ink in one spot, and I don't want that. I want to keep this here fairly light. So we're just going to go on, and I'm not going all over. I'm going to be just doing just certain areas. Okay, so I've just come in from that side. I'm going to turn this around, start from the outside, come in, do a bit of colour there. Don't know whether you can see it, but there's still a little bit of white area on there. I just want to bring in just some of this colour. Then once we've done that, I'm going to move that over because I need to come back to that. And now I'm going to use the Seaside Spray. So again, doing the same thing. Let's see if I can get rid of that. Yep. Going to take the blending brush, and we're just going to go and add a bit of blue. So we're just using those colours that they've used in the Hydrangea Hill. These are 2 of the colours that they've got in the designer series paper. So we're still sticking with it, but we're just going to add it a little bit to our background. And it doesn't matter if they overlap, because they're sort of similar colour families. We don't want just solid colour. I want to go over this and get as much colour and blending of colours as I can. Now if you need to go back and add a little bit of the Highland Heather, go back and just add a little bit more. Until you get the depth of colours. Oops, I've got a little bit of a ink on my finger and a bit of a fingerprint there, so let's just see if we can blend that out a little bit. We are going to stamp over the top of this, so hopefully that will get hidden. Okay, so once you're happy with that, I'm going to close up the Highland Heather because I don't want to get my fingers into that again. And we're going to pull out some of our stamps. Now, whoops, I have got the big flower here, but I'm only wanting to use that small flower head. So I'm actually just going to put the block onto the back of that bit there because I don't want to get ink onto that. I'm not cutting it off or anything like that. I'm just going to ink this up using the Seaside Spray. Whoops, maybe I need some more Seaside Spray ink. I might have to get my re-inker and re-ink this up. But I don't know whether you can see that, but just very lightly on there. So I'm just going to stamp all over this background. I'm not worried about whether my stamps are overlapping. So just want to cover up that background and try not to get those leaves in. So keep turning this around, keep moving. So it's just to give that little bit more of a hydrangea in the background look. Probably should have done this little area here first, but that's okay. All done. So we've now covered that whole background in hydrangeas. So I hope you can see that. Okay, so let's get rid of the seaside spray. Now one of the other coordinating colours with this suite is Misty Moonlight. So I've got a piece of Misty Moonlight, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere that onto there. Now, as I said, my basic white was 7 by 13, and my Misty Moonlight is 7.2 by 13.2. So it's just that smidge bigger. And I love using the multi-purpose glue because it'll allow me to actually have time to move this around to get it in the right position, because I only really want just that tiny little bit. Okay, so that's just going to go on there like that. Okay, so let's pop that with our other piece that we've finished. And now let's have some more fun. So I've got another piece of basic white, and now we need to cut out our dies. So I've got my trusty little, let's move some of these blending brushes out of the road. And I've got my little embossing machine here. This is the handy thing about this machine. I can bring it into other rooms or take it elsewhere just for these quick little jobs. So I'm just going to pop that over there and open this up. I only need my plates 1 and 2s. So I've got my plate 1 there. Pop on one of the 2s. My Whisper White. So what I need to cut in my Whisper White is one of those flower heads. And I need to cut a tag. And I need to cut the leaves as well. So we're going to pop this through and run this through all together. So let me just move that around. Make sure I've got it nice and square going through. As I said last week, if you just have those Perspex plates just sort of staggered a little bit, it's easier to get it through your machine. And just hold it, because it is a lighter weight machine than the other one, so you do need to hold it. It does move a little bit on the paper on your desk. Okay, so now I'm finished with that. I can just pop that out of the road, and let's have a look at this. So we've got our flowers, we've got our tag. Now I want to keep that on there for the moment. And I'll show you the reason why. I'm hoping this is going to work. So I did this, played with this morning. So let's just move that out of the road. I don't know whether this is going to work. When I was colouring, when I was playing with this morning and having a go at this before, and I was colouring it, this die piece here, the leaves, is a very, very fine die cut. And when I was trying to colour it, with my brushes, I found that the pieces were bending a little bit too much, and I don't really want it to bend. So I thought, well, what if I keep it within? So I've taken that, but I want to keep it within where it's cut. Just then, hopefully, because these little These here are only like 1.5 millimeters wide, so it bends very easily. The other thing you could have done is actually coloured the cardstock first, because I'm going to colour this with a couple of colours, not just with one colour. You colour the cardstock first and then die cut it out, so that's just an alternative. But I'm going to be using Old Olive and Garden Green just to give the leaves and the stem a little bit of colour. So I'm going to start with the Old Olive, and I'm using my brushes again. I'm going to ink that up, and I'm just going to pretty much go over the whole lot, but lightly. I don't mind if there's a little bit of whiteness showing, and that's probably a lot easier to do by keeping it in there. It just helps support it a little bit. Okay, so I've got I'll put a little bit more Old Olive just up in that centre bit there a bit. Once you've done that, and using these brushes, it's very, very quick, except they are a big brush, so you sort of have to be careful if you only want it in certain places. So let me just take off a little bit of that olive off there. I'm going to get a little bit of Garden Green, and I want just take a bit of colour off there, put a little bit of Garden Green on the bottom of my stem a little bit. Maybe on the edges of my, whoops, just hold that leaf in there, along those edges a little bit. I don't want to colour the whole lot in Garden Green because I want the Old Olive to also show through. And then on this side up here. And then just a little bit more just in there. So I just want a little bit of diversity of colour in there. So let's now just pop this out. Oops, probably didn't quite cut as well as I'd want there on the end, but that's okay, we'll make that work. Just trim that little bit there off. Get rid of those little pieces out of there. It'd be easier if I used take a pick tool is fantastic for getting all those little bits and pieces out. Okay, so that's left us with that nice coloured leaf and a bit of variegated in colour. So I'm going to pop that over with my other pieces. A little tag. I just want to stamp on there one little stamp. So we're just going to put a little "For You" on that. Now again, you could stamp this, and I'm going to before we cut it out, or you could stamp on it afterwards. It's really up to you. Line that up, and I'm just using Gorgeous Grape. Oops, just to stamp that. Okay, so let's pop that out of the road. Now we've just got one thing left, so we've got to take this out of the die. So again, just using my take a pick tool and just pushing through all those little holes. And we end up with a piece like that. So now we need to colour this. So we're going to go back to our brushes again. So we'll go back to our Seaside Spray. And with our blue brush. Okay, I'll catch up with you later, Marlene. Oh, my niece Ailey is watching. Hello, darling. How are you? I'm going to be in Mudgee visiting your parents next week. Okay then, so we're going to colour this piece here. So we're just going to hold this with one finger or one hand, and I'm just going to add a bit of colour all over. Turn that around, add a bit more colour on this side. Now again, I don't mind how dark or light, I don't mind if there's a bit of white because we are going to add some more colour into this. So we're going to take our Highland Heather again. So we're doing something similar to what we did before with our background. And again, this is something you could have coloured beforehand, but I just wanted a little bit more control of where I wanted the colour to go. So again, just starting off, coming back on and just adding a little bit of that lovely purpley colour into our hydrangeas. Add a little bit more of that Seaside Spray. Now this needs a little bit more depth of colour in it, so I'm going to bring in here now some Gorgeous Grape. But I just want to go very lightly with the Gorgeous Grape. So let's wipe some of that colour off, and then I'm just going to add some Gorgeous Grape around those edges a little bit. Now I'm also going to add a little bit of Misty Moonlight. Just a little bit of a stronger blue. So I don't want this to blend into my background that I've made. Again, wipe a bit of that off. And we're just going to add a little bit of that nice blue. I love hydrangeas. They're one of my favourite plants. I used to have beautiful hydrangeas at my house at Mittagong. But, unfortunately, living in a rental. So I'm going to see if I can maybe even grow some in a pot. Might be nice. I'm going to add a bit more of the Gorgeous Grape in here just to take a little bit of that blue out of it. Okay, so let's just bring all this in and just have a quick look and see how we're going for colour wise. And I think that's starting to look quite good, because this is the sort of effect that we're trying to get, but just trying to do it with brushes rather than getting in there and just doing it and just do like a quick colouring. So once we've done that, let's just close up all these ink pads, because knowing me, we'll finish all our stamping and our colouring, and I will probably put my fingers straight in them. So we'll move all of those out of the road. Yep, fingers went straight in. Okay, move those brushes. Clear our work area a little bit. Who's like me and works in a mess? I'm always in a mess. Okay, so now we need to put all this together. But first off, I want to give a bit more dimension to this piece here. So I'm going to take my Take a Pick tool. And I've just realised I don't have the other one. That's okay. I can do that with this. And what I'm going to do is, number one, I've got these little holes here I can finish punching out. But I'm going to take the back of this and I'm going to push each one of these just gently through. Now, I probably would normally use my stylus tool, but I'm just using the point of the Take a Pick tool just to ease some of those through to the front, because I'm working from the back at the moment, going towards the front and just pushing those through. And what that's just going to do is it's just going to give us a little bit more texture. Don't forget those ones in the middle. A bit more texture to our flower, because I mean, a hydrangea, the big flower head is made up of lots and lots of little flowers. So we want those all to be sort of seen. Just keep working around. Pushing all those through. Now if you used a stylus, you could actually use a piercing mat underneath, but that works quite well. And you can see now all that texture that's been added by lifting all those flowers up. There's a couple there I missed. There's some too which aren't really flower heads, they're just little cuts. We want to lift those as well because we want to get as much texture in there as we possibly can. Okay, so now we're going to put this card together. So we're going to take our little leaves here and we're just going to put the tiniest little amount of glue. Now just be very, very careful with doing this because otherwise you could end up with lots of glue easing out everywhere. Now there's different ways you could have done this. We could have used the adhesive that you put on the back of your cardstock and run that through the die cutting as well. But I'm just going to use my multi-purpose glue. Now what you can do to make this very simple is take a bit of cardstock, just a scrap, and put a little bit of glue, get it out, dot of glue on the end there. And then we're just going to basically run those tips through. So you can sort of put the glue on and wipe it off at the same time. So we're just sort of really keeping it light and run that glue. I can hear that cat again. The back of those leaves and just sort of tap it all in. Once you think you've got good coverage, work out where you're going to put up your flower head and then just tap that down. Okay, so that's that on. So now with our flowers, again we're just going to dot a little bit of glue in a few spots. You need to put down enough that you're going to get the surface attaching, gluing, but you don't want to put down too much that you're going to have it just oozing out everywhere. So we're just dotting this around in a few little spots, not actually on the flowers, just in the spaces in between the flowers. Once you're happy with that, we can attach our flower head on there like that. Okay then, so now the other thing that I did bring out with me was the baker's twine from the snail mail twine combo pack, because it's got the lovely pink and the white, and I want that white because I really feel that this card needs a little bit more on there. So I'm just going to take the pink one out. And we're going to wrap some of this twine around here. We're going to wrap that around a couple of times, probably about 3 times. Just like that. Work out where I want it to go. Maybe tie a little half knot. Then we can thread our tag through there. Tie another half knot. And then a little bow. Now sometimes I can tie these bows. I can get them nice when I do them upside down. I don't know what it is, but upside down sometimes works better. Get the tails going in the right way. that a little bit too big, too small. I want it to be a nice big bow. There we go. Let's cut off those ends. So there's our little tag. Now you could put a little glue dot underneath that just to position that where you want it, going in the direction you are wanting. But I'm just going to oh no, I might put a little bit, I don't have any glue dots with me, but I'm just going to put a little bit of glue behind there. Just take a bit of that out. So I do want that to be a little bit at an angle. Okay, so there's our, now to attach those two together, we're going to put some dimensionals on the back here. Has anyone else played with the Hydrangea Hill as yet? Okay, I've got enough dimensionals on there. So we're now going to just place this just to one side. And then we're going to get maybe some pearls on here just to give it a little bit of bling. Even though we haven't used pink in this, I'm going to put a little bit of pink. Let's just have a look. That wasn't the pink. That's the pink. What do you think? Pink or the dark one? Anyone have any ideas? Oh, I might go the dark one. Pop that one up there. Okay, so all we've got finished left to do is just pop a piece of Whisper white cardstock on the inside, and we just might actually stamp up in and just decorate the inside of our card. So I'm just going to use the Highland Heather just stamp on the inside there, and I might add Seaside Spray. Just stamp that off a little bit. Okay. So let's put a bit of adhesive on the back here. A little bit overboard there. Pop that in on the inside. Stick that down, and there you are. So that's our card for today using Hydrangea Hill. I hope you've enjoyed today's Facebook Live. As I said, I won't be here next week, but I will be back with you doing another Facebook Live the week after that. So have a lovely week. Enjoy yourselves. Please leave me a comment and let me know what you think of my card. I will post this in the next few days on my Facebook page and also on my YouTube channel. So have a great day. Thank you, Robin. I'm glad you like it. And I will be in touch with you all soon. Bye for now.